With 37% of college students regularly using an illegal drug and abusing alcohol, it's crucial to have Narcan on hand. According to officials, Bill 473 was introduced following the aftermath of recent police deaths in West Virginia. Straight ahead, how is the university helping students recover from this fire caused by lightning? I'm Hannah High School, and I'll have that story next. An estimated 2,400. That's how many inmates are currently on death row. Residents of this apartment building were temporarily placed into buildings owned by the loft's management. There is no word yet on when they will return to their former apartments. Straight ahead on WVU News, as many as 85% of opioid overdoses occur in the presence of a bystander. Straight ahead on WVU News, syringe service programs are associated with a 50% reduction in HIV and hepatitis C cases. Struck this building during thunderstorms, leaving 18 units destroyed and 52 residents displaced. West Virginia abolished the death penalty in 1965. And motions to reinstate the death penalty have appeared in the West Virginia legislature almost every year since, but attempts have been unsuccessful. I took a closer look at what happened to Bill 473 in this year's legislative journey. The death penalty has been a controversial subject amongst many West Virginians for years.
We tend to be a reactionary society here in the United States. And so if something happens that would bring about, enough public reaction to desire to have capital punishment, then it's possible.
Execution protocols vary state by state, using methods such as electrocution, lethal injection, and in Alabama's most recent execution, nitrogen hypoxia. An estimated 2,400. That's how many inmates are currently on death row. But if capital punishment makes its way back to the Mountain State, there could be even more. But many states cannot source these medications due to their suppliers withholding.
Many of the manufacturers of the medications have actually prohibited their medications from being utilized in lethal injection. And then you also have your pharmacy organizations that have taken stances against those.
According to this study done by the Pew Research Center, Americans have very different feelings towards the death penalty, with 60% of adults being in favor and 39% opposing. Morgantown residents are divided into these two sides.
So I'm against the death penalty because I believe we don't have the duty to take another man's life.
I am for it because no state should be paying to have people live in prisons, and even more if they're like violent criminals who are actually up for like the death penalty. We shouldn't be using our tax money to just get them living on years for years in prison.
The bill was proposed by Senator Mike Stewart in the 2024 legislative session, and he believes it should apply to cases in which law enforcement and first responders are killed. Yeah. This bill did not pass in this year's legislative session. According to officials, Bill 473 was introduced following the aftermath of recent police deaths in West Virginia. Governor Jim Justice stated that he was 1,000% supportive of the death penalty bill. Syringe service programs prevent the spread of diseases such as HIV and hepatitis C among people who inject drugs.
If we're taking away people's ability to have clean needles, then they're going to share dirty needles.
Studies show that the rate of infectious diseases goes down by more than 50%. It increases the number of people who go to treatment. Participants in syringe service programs are 5 times more likely to enter further drug treatment and 3.5 times more likely to stop injecting drugs. But programs like these are still a point of controversy in West Virginia communities. Some elected officials argue these programs contribute to a rise in crime and drug-related litter, but decades of research show they do the opposite.
Trying to ban any kind of syringe services is going to be a detriment to the community. We've already seen in other parts in the state that limiting harm reduction services like syringe access has made HIV and Hep C cases skyrocket.
And many Morgantown residents are opposed to the change.
Right now, the only thing that is keeping these people afloat is harm reduction.
Living in Appalachia, there are a lot of people who struggle with substance use. We all know someone who has been there or who has struggled with substance use or had a family member that struggled with substance use.
If signed into law, programs offering syringe services would have 120 days to close their doors. Residents of this Morgantown apartment building have been displaced after the building suffered severe fire damage. WVU student Riley Katz says she lost many things on that disastrous night.
I would say at least now I have about $5,000 in damages between shoes, electronics, all my bedding, my food, my pots, some of my pots and pans that I had to throw out, and there's other things that I've had to throw out secondarily.
Like Katz, many of the residents had damaged or destroyed property, including school textbooks and laptops. Officials say lightning struck this building during thunderstorms, leaving 18 units destroyed and 52 residents displaced. The Office of Campus and Community Life is offering students mental health services and monetary resources, as well as asking professors to work with students impacted by the fire. So far, they have worked with 22 students.
We have several different funds that we can utilize that provide, we can help replace books, we can help replace clothing. Students have renter's insurance, but it does take time to process those claims. So we're trying to figure out what are their immediate needs and how can we support that.
Moving forward will be hard, Katz says, but she is thankful to be surrounded by a loving support system.
I would definitely say I felt support from my sorority sisters and my friends on campus. My boss at my work-study job has been great with letting me take extra hours if I really need to.
Aside from the university's resources, the Red Cross is also providing monetary assistance, mental health services, and medical supplies to those impacted by the fire.